Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om. We are now studying the Adhyasa Bhashya, that is the introduction of Bhagavad Pada Shankaracharya to his commentary on the Brahma Sutra. Shankaracharya, in the previous portion we saw, he said, Tametam evam lakshanam adhyasam panditaha avidya iti manyante. So, tametam, tam etam, that this evam lakshanam, of such a characteristic, adhyasam, superimposition, panditaha, wise men or wise people, avidya iti manyante, they call it avidya, they call it ignorance. So whatever has been discussed earlier, possessing those characteristics, what we find to be superimposition is what is considered by people who know reality to be adhyasa. Adhyasa. So that is also considered as avidya. Avidya, ignorance. Then Shankaracharya says, Tad vivekena cha vastu swarupa avadharanam vidyam ahuhu. By discerning, by finding what is superimposed and on what it is superimposed. In our classical example, snake is superimposed on rope. So by differentiating between rope and snake, by differentiating between the properties of rope and the properties of snake, am I not audible to you? Some people are complaining I'm not audible.
Swamiji, they have not switched on their audio. I just put it in the chat. They have not joined the audio, that's why.
Okay. So I'm audible. So the properties of rope, they are superimposed on the properties of snake and vice versa. That is, the properties of the snake have been superimposed on the properties of the rope. And so to understand this, we have to discern the rope and the properties of the rope from the snake and the properties of snake. So vastu and dharma, the object which has been superimposed, the object on which it has been superimposed, the properties of the object which has been superimposed, and the properties of the object on which it has been superimposed. This is what we are seeing. And tad vivekena, that means that on which adhyasa or superimposition takes place, one has to discern it, one has to understand the difference between that which has been superimposed and that which is superimposing. Once you understand that through discernment, vastu swarupa avadharanam, then you know an object as it is. You know a rope as it is. You know a snake as it is. And then you understand that the rope is not snake. The snake was never the rope. The rope was never the snake. And that realization, that understanding is called vidya. So I would like to remind you that here the snake rope is only example. So if somebody is saying, oh, I have already understood that the rope is not snake, that is not going to help, because we are here talking about adhyasa, between conscious and the not conscious, atma and anatma. So that we have to understand. that this world is unreal, that this world is unreal, that this body, mind, prana, Vijnana, Anandamaya Kosha, they are all unreal. That we have to understand. The snake rope example is just that. It's just an example. Now, Shankaracharya moves on. He says, you see, he now explains to us the obvious. The problem with the obvious is that most of the times we don't understand the obvious. Like they say, common sense is the most uncommon sense. So common sense is the most uncommon sense. Many people do like that. Like they go into an office without taking an appointment, without getting an appointment. They just walk in. They will call an ashrama. So one ashrama, somebody called at the middle of the night. 11:30, they're calling the ashrama. Swamiji, I want to come to the ashrama. So will I get a place in the guest house? Wonderful thought, no? Because they are also in India. It's not that they are in US time, but even if they are in US time, they should take care to understand what is the Indian time. They are in Indian time and they are calling ashrama at an unearthly hour to get accommodation. So common sense is a very uncommon thing, very rarely found. So that is why what is obvious has to be said that this is obvious. Just like those who are accustomed to wearing spectacles, who have to wear spectacles all the time, then those people sometimes they forget that they have worn the spectacles. So they will keep on searching everywhere. Where is my glasses? Where are my glasses? Where are my glasses? It's there on your nose. When we were kids, we had a lesson like that. A person his name was Mr. Kuchu, and he is searching his glasses and then he finds that it is on his nose. So that is the obvious thing which has to be taught here. What is conscious? It is already there. It is always there. So here Shankaracharya, Bhagavad Shankaracharya, he says, Tatraivam sati yatra yad adhyasah tat kritena doshena gunena va. So tatraivam sati. So we have just seen that this adhyasa is also called avidya. And when you can distinguish between the superimposed and what has been superimposed, then if you can distinguish between the object on which superimposition has taken place and the object by which superimposition has taken place, in our classical example, if you can distinguish between the rope and the snake, then that is called vidya. And you come to know the nature of things as they are. So, tatraivam sati, such being the case. Yatra, wherever, yad adhyasa hai, wherever superimposition takes place of whatever thing. So let us say superimposition of X takes place. So superimposition of X takes place on Y. So wherever there is such superimposition, tat kritena doshena gunena va, that which is superimposed, the good properties or the qualities, guna, or dosha, the defects or bad properties of that which is superimposed, anumatrena api, not even an iota, even a little bit of those qualities, sana sambadhyate, are not affecting that which has been superimposed. To make things very clear, let us go back to our snake rope example. So if we see snake, just because snake is superimposed on the rope, not even an iota of snake or the properties of snake, its good properties or bad properties, are being superimposed on rope. That means when you are seeing snake on the rope, has rope changed? It has not changed. Has the rope acquired the properties of snake? No, it has not acquired. The rope continues to remain the rope. Even when you see snake there, nothing is happening. It is like one-side love, unrequited love. When a person is seeing that I love this person, that person is not loving. So apply, no reply. So this person is loving, but that person is not loving. So it is, even when you think you love that person is not loving. So your quality of love, was it superimposed on that person? No, it was not. Similarly, even when you experience Ajnana, actually, does the nature of Brahman change? No, it does not. Anumatrena api sana sambadhyate. Even an iota is not connected. So this is famously quoted by Advaita Vedantins to prove that this world as we see it is mithya. Mithyatva, it's false. As we see it, it is false. Why? Because not even an iota of the superimposed affects the, not even an iota of what is superimposed affects that on which it is superimposed. So in our example, not even an iota of snake is affecting rope. Suddenly it is not that when you see the snake on the rope, rope suddenly becomes poisonous. No, it does not. Or it is not that it gets the property of wriggling. No, it does not. It remains rope all through. So whenever we superimpose the non-conscious on the conscious, conscious is not changing. Or whenever we superimpose the conscious on the non-conscious, non-conscious is not also changing. When you think that the body is conscious, has the body become conscious? No, it has not. It continues to remain matter. It continues to remain inert. Only you have got this wrong idea that it is conscious. So it is illusion. It is mithya. It is false knowledge. Tam etam avidyakhyam atma anatmanoho itara adhyasam puraskritya sarve pramana prameya vyavaharaha laukikaha vaidikaha cha pravrittaha sarvani cha shastrani vidhi pratisheda moksha parani. See, Shankaracharya, his genius is not in just telling you what actual reality is. His genius is in telling you that though that is the reality, in practice what happens. So in practice, this is what happens. A person who has got high glycemic index, that means a person who has got diabetes. I was just flaunting my knowledge of this word called glycemic index. Okay. So a person who has got diabetes, what that person says, that person should not eat things which have more sugar or food with higher glycemic index. But that person eats. Why? Does not that person know that that person should not eat it because of diabetes? Of course that person knows, but is unable to control. See, when I see Mysore Pak in front of me with all that ghee dripping, how can you control, Swamiji? What is this? If I take one Mysore Pak, nothing is going to happen. I will take extra one medicine. My doctor is also saying that can be done. And we can also go for combination of Ayurveda and allopathy like that. Some people are telling, Swamiji, you don't know this like that. There's a theory. Anyway, I am not medically qualified to tell this. It has got nothing to do with real medical advice. This is a disclaimer I am giving because some people say Brahma Sutra class you told, that is why we are doing this combination. Though you know very well that this food is harmful to you, you are unable to give up that food. Why? That is the problem. That is the problem. Why we don't know. That is called Ajnana. So similarly here, tam etam, that superimposition is called what? Avidya akhyam is called akhyam, is called avidya. It's called avidya. Atma anatmanoho, among the self and the not self. So self with a capital S. That means your true reality. Call it Atman, call it Brahman, call it Satchit Ananda, the ultimate truth. That is among that and the not self. That means which is not your true reality. The body, mind, etc. Itara adhyasam. Adhyasam means superimposition. Itara means mutual. So not self is superimposed on self. The self is superimposed on not self. Itara adhyasam. Puraskritya. Having that, supposing that. Puraskritya means you already take it for granted that this superimposition has happened. Shankaracharya started his Adhyasa Bhashya with these words. Yushmad Asmad Pratyaya. That is the notions of I and you. These are the notions which we use all the time in all our dealings. Even if there is no you, I see an object. The one object which everyone sees continuously is the mobile phone. So there what happens? I and iPhone. I and iPhone. So Yushmad, iPhone is you actually. And Asmad, I. So this binary or this differentiation, this duality is what we see. When we see that duality, already we are taking for granted that there will be superimposition. If we don't take it for granted, then how can I see the duality? I cannot. That is what Shankaracharya is saying. Whenever you have a dealing of any kind of knowledge or any kind of dealing, being in the condition of a living being, it need not be only human being, living being, you already take for granted that there will be superimposition. We don't deal in a manner where we think that there is no superimposition. How? Itara adhyasam puraskritya. That means presupposing. Puraskritya, presupposing. Itara adhyasam. Mutual superimposition. Sarve all pramana prameya vyavaharaha. All transactions, all dealings of pramana. Pramana means means of knowledge, and prameya, objects of knowledge. So there is something called triputi, jnana triputi, a triad. Triad means three things are involved in knowledge. One is pramatra, the person who knows; prameya, that which is known; and pramana, the means through which it is known. Pramatra, pramana, prameya. There's a triangle. It's not a love triangle for people who are getting different thoughts. I'm just clarifying. So it's not a love triangle. Okay. It is a pramana, prameya, pramatra. So this is a triangle which is called triputi bheda. This is true for all knowledge which we get through the senses. Sensory knowledge or mediate perception. The medium is the senses. The senses are the medium, or you can say mind is the medium. The knowledge which we get through the mind is going through the process of having these three things. Triputi bheda. That is pramana, means of knowledge; pramatra, the knower; and prameya, the known. So in all the dealings where there is a connection between pramana and prameya, that means an object of knowledge or an object is known through a means of knowledge. Now pramana, there are 6 kinds of pramana. We all know that. Now using either of these 6 kinds of pramana, 6 types of pramana, 6 means of knowledge, you know something. There you are you are presupposing, you are taking for granted that there will be superimposition, because without superimposition this triputi cannot work. So there will be superimposition of the knower on the known. There will be superimposition of the known on the knower. That superimposition we are taking for granted. For example, earlier I told you how adhyasa takes place. When we see a car which has a high probability of not starting, but we go and sit in it and we press the ignition with full confidence that it will start. That means we have already presupposed superimposition. We have superimposed the property of consciousness on a not conscious object called car. Unless you have this, you cannot deal. Worldly dealings are impossible. Laukikaha. Laukikaha means worldly. Vaidikaha cha. So those who are laukikaha, that means those who are, the dealings are empirical, and Vaidikaha, the dealings which are based on Vedas. That means those prescribed by Vedas. So suppose somebody is performing a yajna. Somebody wants to go to Swarga. How can you go to Swarga? Agni hotram juhuyat Swarga kamaha, says the Vedas. So Agni hotra yajna you perform. Swarga kamaha, a person who wants to go to Swarga, that person has to perform Agni hotra yajna. So this is prescribed by the Vedas. But to perform Agni hotra yajna, you have to presuppose superimposition. You have to consider yourself to be separate from the Homakunda. You have to consider yourself to be separate from the Ritvik, the head priest, and so on and so forth. So there will be avidya which you have to presuppose. You have to take for granted the presence of avidya. Unless you take for granted the presence of ignorance, avidya or maya or adhyasa, you cannot perform a Vedic ritual. Similarly, you cannot perform any worldly, empirical or secular dealing unless you presuppose superimposition. So now you may ask, but do we really presuppose superimposition? Yeah, we don't, because we are always in superimposition. So we don't have that problem to presuppose superimposition. Only if we knew that there is something other than superimposition, we should have presupposed. But we don't need that, because we are fully deep into superimposition. We are deep into avidya. So we don't know anything which is other than avidya. That is what Shankaracharya is saying. We are taking for granted the condition of avidya, and laukikaha vaidikaha cha pravrittaha. We are engaging in activities which are both secular and sacred, which are both empirical and Vedic, taking for granted that there is superimposition. Sarvani cha shastrani. Also all the scriptures, vidhi. Vidhi means injunction. Scripture or the Vedas say you should do this. Agni hotram juhuyat. So it's an injunction, it's a rule. Or shrotavya mantavya nididhyasitavya. So that is also an injunction. You have to hear, you have to contemplate, and you have to meditate. So vidhi, that is injunction. Pratishedha. So kalanjam ma bhakshet. Don't eat this. Some prohibition. Prohibitions are also there. Moksha parani. Moksha. Moksha means liberation. Moksha means getting free from the repeated cycle. What Shankaracharya particularly says, punarapi maranam, punarapi jananam, punarapi janani, jathare shayanam. So again and again taking birth, again and again dying, again and again going and shayanam, sleeping in jathara, in the womb of mother. So that if one has to get rid of moksha, getting rid of samsara, getting free of samsara. So all the things told in the Vedas, which as parani means related to injunction or command, prohibition or moksha, all that presuppose superimposition. See, moksha, does a person who does not have superimposition need moksha? No. Moksha is needed by a person who is in superimposition. So when you say, I want moksha, means you have acknowledged superimposition. You have acknowledged avidya. You have acknowledged maya. So all the shastras, Vedas, all the scriptures, all the worldly and spiritual dealings, everything presuppose, take for granted superimposition. Without superimposition, we cannot do these things. That is why some devotees ask, Swamiji, you are telling all moksha and all. But if we get moksha, how will this world go on? Great difficulty they have. You see, I want moksha, but Swamiji, only for the sake of this Lord, so that this universe should go on, I'm not trying for moksha. Because if I get moksha, this world will stop, then all hell will break loose, as they say in English. So I am not going for moksha. For such people, I have to say, they will say, Swamiji, you have become sannyasi. Like this, what is this? If everybody becomes sannyasi, how Homo sapiens sapiens, that is the scientific name. Huh? Sapiens will come 2 times. Homo sapiens sapiens, how this species will grow. If that is your question, my answer is, for that, wise people like you are there. Now, whether that wise spelling is W-I-S-E or V-I-C-E, you decide for yourself. But such people are there, so that will grow. What Homo sapiens sapiens will grow. But the point is, why that question comes? Because it is true actually. If you don't have avidya, nothing in this world can happen. So all that you do is for the sake of avidya. But is avidya true? Or all that you do is because of avidya. But is avidya true? No, it is not true. So it is like a chicken and egg story. Did chicken come first or egg come first? We don't know. So we were discussing this highly philosophical subject with some kids. You know, I now and then discuss great philosophy with kids. Great philosophy is first whether chicken came, hen came or egg came. So that one kid said, Swamiji, first egg only came. How? No, because egg was there even during the time of dinosaurs. Chicken came only later. See the logic. You cannot deal with such logic. So chicken, whether it came first or whether egg came first, this is a inconclusive logic. It is called, if you go like that, so how did this chicken come without an egg? So egg came. So how did this egg come without a chicken? So chicken was there. Like that. It is called regressum, ad infinitum, infinite regress. So it will go on. In Sanskrit, it is called anavastha dosha. So the defect of having no end, it will go on and on. So similarly, this is a vicious cycle. What is the circle? What is the vicious circle? Vicious circle is, if I am in avidya, only then I can study Brahma Sutra. So I should be in avidya. But is avidya true? No, avidya is not true. So avidya should be gotten rid of. But to know that avidya is to be gotten rid of, I should be in avidya. So the idea is, we presuppose avidya. That is why in Ashtavakra Samhita, Ashtavakra Muni says, are you not ashamed that you are remembering your own nature? It is like reminding oneself of your own name. Why should you remember your own nature? That is quite evident, quite obvious, is it not? So here, this is the thing. All the Shastras, all the scriptures, he says, even the Vedas. So Brahma Sutras, of course, have a secondary place than the Vedas. So Vedas, all the dealings, worldly and sacred dealings, everything takes for granted that there is superimposition. I am talking to you. I am seeing so many people and talking to you. It might be about the Brahma Sutra. But unless I see you separate from me, how can I talk? I cannot talk. no worldly dealing will be possible. So that means this worldly dealing presupposes superimposition. That is our problem. We are in such a state where we have no point of reference for any possibility where there is no superimposition. We constantly, as they said, 24/7, we are operating in a manner which constantly reminds us of superimposition, or we are always there in superimposed state. So that is the problem. That is the problem. Though the thing on which superimposition takes place does not attain even one iota, even a minuscule of the properties of that which is superimposed, though that which is superimposing also does not attain even an iota of the properties of on which it is superimposed, even then in this world, everything is done presupposing superimposition. So there was no snake in the rope, there never was, there never will be. But all the time when we deal in this world, we think that the rope is actually a snake. We think that this body is conscious. So now that is the problem. Though the body is never conscious, we think that the body is conscious. So now how to get rid of it? Or how can it happen? So now the question is being asked by Shankaracharya. He says, Katham punah, but how avidyavat vishayani pratyakshadini pramanani shastrani cha iti. So how is it that avidyavat vishayani, that means things that connect or concern, pertain to people who are ignorant. Ignorant means ignorance, avidya. So those who have avidya or ignorance. How avidyavat vishayani? That means those things which connect or relate to those who are ignorant. Pratyakshadini pramanani. And that is what? That is pratyakshadini. The 6 pramanas or means of knowledge, like pratyaksha, etc. Direct perception. So all these 6 means of knowledge, and shastrani cha iti, and also scriptures. How is it that pratyaksha pramana and other 5 pramanas and scriptures all relate to avidya? That is the question. How can they all relate to avidya? Because our idea of knowledge is knowledge which is got by valid means of knowledge. That is what our idea of knowledge is. Knowledge means prama. So pramana means that which is a valid means of knowledge. Now, if that is the case, you are saying here that all the valid means of knowledge, 6 pramanas, are all presupposing puraskritya, presupposing adhyasa. They are all taking for granted adhyasa or superimposition. You are saying this. How can you say that? That means whatever I have known is all wrong, is all false. I have studied chemistry. I am doing so much work in chemist work I am doing. So all that is false. How can that be false? My entire life is false. All those chemistry degrees are all false. And whatever I am doing in the laboratory is also false. How can that happen? What are you saying? How can this all pramana be false? Not only that, pramana is of course worldly, empirical. Even if you say it is false, we have to listen. But how can you say that the Vedas are false? Shastrani, all the scriptures are false, you are saying. How is it possible? Shastrani, Shastra is considered apaurushaya, no purusha. That means nobody in a body, no body, no body, nobody in a body, no body. No body has written the Vedas. Nobody has written the Vedas. That means no person has written the Vedas. They are eternal truths which have been seen face to face by rishis. So Sayanacharya says, Rishayaha mantra drashtaraha. So rishis are people who have seen mantra. They have come face to face with mantra. So that means they have seen the eternal truths which are called Vedas. So if that is the case, how can those truths be wrong? How can that be in the realm of avidya? So this is a Purva Paksha. This is a objection. What are you saying? You are not accepting knowledge as we know it in the empirical domain or in the secular domain. You are also not accepting knowledge as we know it in the sacred domain. So jnana, that means everything is adhyasa. That means whatever we see, whatever we have heard, whatever we have understood. Swamiji, for this, I have studied so many things, and then I went through that Upanishad, this Upanishad. Now finally I am reading the Brahma Sutras, and you are saying everything is useless. Then why am I reading this? Of course, that is a question you should ask yourself. But the point is that everything is useless. So that is what Shankaracharya is now explaining. He says Uchyate. Yeah, we are telling that. We means Siddhanti. That means those who follow Advaita Vedanta in this case, because Shankaracharya, Bhagavad Pada Shankaracharya, is a proponent of Advaita Vedanta. Uchyate, it is being said. What is being said? Deha Indriyadishu Aham Mama Abhimana Rahitasya Pramatritva Anupapattau Pramana Pravritti Anupapattehe. So it is being said, Dehendriyashu, Dehendriyadishu, sorry, Deha Indriyadishu. That means in the location of Deha, means body, Indriyadishu, sense organs. In the location of Deha, body, Indriya, sense organs, Adishu, Adishu means and so on. So sense organs, intellect, prana, etc., so on and so forth. So in the location of these things, Aham, I, Mama, mine. Aham is I, Mama is mine. Abhimana Rahitasya. So a person who is free from the notions of I and mine. A person who is free from the notions of Ahankara and Mamakara. Ahankara means I and Mamakara is mine. A person who is free from these notions in the location of body, sense organs, prana, mind, and so on and so forth, that person, pramatritva anupapattau, for that person, it is illogical. Anupapatti. Illogical. What is illogical? That person will be pramatrit. Pramatra means knower. So pramatritva, the condition of being a knower, is illogical for a person who does not have the ideas of I and mine in the body, sense organs, prana, mind, etc. Unless you have the idea of I and mine, or you have the idea of I and mine means what basically? It is nothing very, don't complicate it. I and mine means I and iPhone. Okay, your I and your iPhone. So if a person has no idea of I and iPhone, that means I and mine, then that person cannot have the idea that I know. am there, or it is mine, aham abhimana, the notion of I, or aham pratyaya, and mama pratyaya, the notion of mine. If you don't have these, then how can you say that I have an iPhone? You cannot say, because you will not have the idea of I, you will neither have the idea of mine. So only a person who has the idea of I and mine can say, I have this knowledge. I studied chemistry. Only that person can say. So that means a person who says, I studied chemistry, I mean the chemistry which is taught in classes and people study, not the chemistry which happens between two people. That's a different thing altogether. But this chemistry, if somebody says, I have studied chemistry, that means that person has the idea of I and idea of mine. So I have this knowledge. Mine, it is my knowledge. So that is why aham pratyaya, the notion of I and the notion of mine, is very important when you talk about pramatritva. That means the state of being a knower. It's very important. So if a person does not have these ideas, that person cannot be a knower. It is illogical for that person to be a knower. And also, why? Because pramana pravritti anupapattehe. Because there the functioning, the pravritti, or the functioning, the action of pramana, 6 means of knowledge, is impossible. Or anupapattehe, it becomes illogical. How do you have 6 means of knowledge? What are the 6 means of knowledge? First is pratyaksha. I see or I perceive. Using my sense organs, I perceive. That is the first direct perception. If you don't have the idea of I, how can you have the idea that you are perceiving? You cannot have. You cannot have. Similarly, if you don't have the idea of I, how can you have the next pramana, that is anumana, inference? I infer. You cannot infer because you don't have the sense of I. So like that, upamana, anupalabdhi, etc. There are 6 pramanas, all of which require that one has the idea of I and also the idea of mine. Without that, these pramanas or means of knowledge will not work. Because these means of knowledge will not work, a person cannot know anything without the ideas of I and mine. So now that knowledge can be empirical knowledge, it can be the knowledge how to operate your iPhone, or it can be knowledge, it can be the knowledge of Brahma Sutra. Neither knowledge will work unless you are in adhyasa. So you are trying to understand your true nature because now you don't understand your true nature. That is the simple thing. Unless you are seeing rope in a, unless you are seeing snake in a rope, why do you need enlightenment? Why do you need light? You need light when you are not seeing rope as it is. If you are seeing rope as it is, if there is no adhyasa, there is no point in knowledge. That's the point. Knowledge as we understand it. I am not talking about knowledge which is aparokshanubhuti. We are talking now about parokshanubhuti. So this Brahma Sutra also, what we are reading is mediate knowledge. It is coming through the medium of sense organs. So here Shankaracharya says, he indriyani nahi indriyani anupadaya pratyakshadi vyavaharaha sambhavati. Nahi, also, indriyani anupadaya na pratyakshadi vyavaharaha sambhavati. Indeed, indriyani anupadaya, without using the sense organs, without employing the sense organs, na pratyakshadi vyavaharaha sambhavati. The vyavahara, activity, like direct perception, is not possible. Without using the sense organs, it is not possible to have direct perception. Of course, when I say direct perception, I mean that I have perceived it using my sense organs. I have either seen it, I have heard it, I have smelled it, touched it, or tasted it. Either of these 5 organs, or maybe more than one or more organs. So when I say direct perception, I mean I have directly perceived that thing using sense organs. So without sense organs, how can I have direct perception? I cannot have. I cannot have. So that is why pratyakshadi vyavaharaha na sambhavati indriyani anupadaya. Without using or without engaging, employing indriyani, that is sense organs, it is impossible to have pratyakshadi vyavahara. So pratyaksha, etc. vyavahara. So then what happens? Then Shankaracharya says, nacha adhishthana mantarena indriyanam vyavaharaha sambhavati. See how he develops the logic. It's one step at a time. He's not making it very complicated. Okay. Like some professionals do. So if you go to a who is a professional? Professional is a person who points out a problem where you do not see one and offers you a solution for a price. That's the professional. So suppose you go to a doctor. I have got nothing against any professional, but this is the fact. So doctor will say that, oh, your heart has got so many blocks. You never knew that. Okay. And they will say, I can fix it, but you have to pay almost all your lifetime money you have to give there. Or you have to maybe mortgage your property. You go to a chartered accountant, hey, all your income tax returns are all wrongly filed, and then I can fix it, but you have to give me hefty fees. Same with the advocate. So professional is the person who will offer you solution to a problem you did not know in the first place. So like that here what happens? Logic is being given. Unlike professionals who confuse us first and they give us clarification, asking a price, Shankaracharya is putting simple logic, building it step by step, one block at a time. And so he is saying, nacha adhishthanam antarena indriyanam vyavaharaha sambhavati. So adhishthanam antarena, that means without a locus, without a location. Without a location. Adhishthanam means location. Antarena, other than. So other than a location, indriyanam vyavaharaha na sambhavati, the activity or functioning of indriyanam, that is indriyaha, indriyani, sense organs, does not take place without a location. Sense organs cannot function without a location. That is what he is telling. Sense organs cannot function without a location. So sense organs need to have a location in the body or in the mind or wherever that is. They need a location. Without a location, they cannot function. So what is being told? So here also, adhyasa is presupposed, taken for granted. Without adhyasa, the sense organs cannot function. Adhishthanam antarena indriyanam vyavaharaha na sambhavati. Nacha anadhyastha atma bhavena dehena kaschid vyapriyate. Nacha, further. Anadhyastha atma bhavena dehena. So dehena, by a physical body, which is atma bhavena anadhyastha, which is not superimposed by the self. A physical body on which self has not been superimposed. Self means capital S self, that is Atman, has not been superimposed. Na kaschid vyapriyate. So without this, with a physical body on which self is not superimposed, nobody acts. Na kaschid vyapriyate. Means there is no vyapara, there is no dealing. Nobody can deal without a body on which self is superimposed, or with a body on which self is not superimposed. Nobody can deal. That is what happens. There is a change of pronoun. What happens when a person dies? There is a change of pronoun. From male, female, or transgender, that person becomes it. So that is why you will ask, when it is being burnt or when it is being taken to the burial ground or the crematorium, suddenly it became it. She or he or whatever became it. Why? Because that body is not being identified by any self. That bodied, so there is a state of embodied, there is a state of disembodied. So the disembodiment has taken place. So without a body on which self has been superimposed, nobody can act, nobody can function. So here also what happens? What is Shankaracharya saying? Superimposition is necessary. For functioning, superimposition is taken for granted, puraskritya, presupposed. It is necessary. Without superimposition of the self on the body, there is no activity. If this were true, then all the dead bodies will be active. Not like zombies, but really active. I'm not talking about zombies, like dead body, then they also are starting to move, etc. So, bodies also can act only when there is superimposition of self on them. Nacha etasmin sarvasmin asati asangasya atmanah pramatritvam upapadyate. Etasmin sarvasmin asati. That means etasmin sarvasmin. Sarvasmin. Etasmin means this. Sarvasmin means all. When all this is asati, absent, not there. Sati is there, asati is not there. Asangasya atmanah, on the asanga, unattached atman, self. Pramatritvam, knowership, or the state of being a knower, na upapadyate, is not logical. So when all this is not there, all this is not there means when this, what we see as prapancha, or when what we see as superimposition, whatever we have just now discussed, superimposition of the self on the body, senses, etc. When that is not there, when there is no superimposition, but etasmin sarvasmin means all this superimposition, when it is not there, then what happens? Asangasya atmanah, of the unattached self, pramatritvam na upapadyate. Unattached self cannot know anything. The self which is asanga, which is unattached, cannot know anything. That is not logical. That the self which is unattached can know anything is not logical. So it is illogical that it can know anything. So it does not know anything. So like earlier he says, Nacha anadhyasta atma bhavena dehena kaschid vyapriyate. So by a body which is not superimposed by the self, na kaschid vyapriyate. No one can act. Vyapriyate means to engage in vyapara. That means to have dealings. So nobody can have any dealings without superimposing self on the body. Self means capital self. So similarly, without all these superimpositions, the self which is asanga, which is unattached, Atman is unattached, that cannot become the knower. It cannot become the knower, because if there is no superimposition, how can it become knower? And that is not logical. That is not logical. And further, Shankaracharya says, Nacha pramatritvam antarena pramana pravrittihi asti. Same thing he is telling in a different language. Nacha pramatritvam antarena. Antarena, other than. Pramatritvam, no worship. Other than the state of knowing. Pramana pravrittihi na asti. There is no functioning, pravrittihi, functioning of pramana, 6 means of knowledge. So unless there is a person who will know, how will means of knowledge work? If you want to go from one place to another place, Google Maps cannot work unless you want to go. So there should be a goer, only then Google Maps will work. If there is no goer, if there is no traveler, how will Google Maps work? Because there is no point in its functioning. There is no purpose of its functioning. Similarly, unless you want to know something, or unless there is a knower, means of knowledge cannot work. Unless there is a cook, cooker cannot work. Okay, it's a good idea. Unless there is a cook, cooker cannot work, because unless somebody cooks, what is the need of cooker? So this is what is being told here. Pramana pravrittihi na asti. Tasmat, therefore, avidyavat vishayani eva pratyakshadini pramanani shastrani cha. So the objection was, how can you say that the scriptures and the 6 means of knowledge are all pertaining to ignorance? Avidyavat vishayani. How can you say that they are pertaining to ignorance? So the answer is now given, because without ignorance, none of this can happen. Tasmat, therefore, avidyavat vishayani eva, indeed they pertain to the ignorant. What? Pratyakshadini pramanani, the means of knowledge like perception, and shastrani cha, and also all the scriptures. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Let me see if there are any questions in the chat box. If experience of all 6 pramanas require the engagement of indriyas or senses, then what is the name given to the knowledge which one perceives without the engagement of senses, as in case of enlightened persons? That is what is called vidya. And that is not knowledge. Knowledge is not pramana. Knowledge is prama, not pramana. And that knowledge, that is the vidya, that is knowledge which is not got by sense organs, is not called prama. That is jnana. That is not prama. It does not need any means of valid knowledge. It is beyond means of valid knowledge. That's why it is called aparoksha anubhuti. It is without any medium. It is immediate perception in English. So that cannot be compared at all with the knowledge we get from sense organs. So it is not like sense organs, by them I get one knowledge, and by some other mean I get the knowledge of Brahman. Because you actually don't get the knowledge, you become it. Brahmavid Brahmaiva Bhavati, Upanishad says. The knower of Brahman becomes Brahman. So Sri Ramakrishna said very beautifully that a salt doll went to measure the ocean. So what will happen? It will become the ocean. A salt doll which goes to measure the ocean will become the ocean. So that is a different knowledge. You become Brahman, and then there is nothing to know. There is no Triputi Bheda. I was telling Triputi Bheda. The knower, the means of knowledge, and the known. Those things don't exist there. So that is a different knowledge. It is called Aparoksha Anubhuti. That is what happens by enlightenment. Enlightened people get that. There is another question. Do we get Vidya by removing the superimposition? The answer is, we do not get Vidya by removing superimposition. We destroy ignorance by removing superimposition. There are two things. You cannot acquire Vidya. Anything which is acquired will be destroyed. Jatasya hi dhruvam mrityuhu, Sri Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. That which is born certainly has death. So Brahman, knowledge of Brahman is not born. It is always there. What are we removing? We are removing the covering. We are removing the ignorance. We are removing the ignorance. So ignorance goes away. If ignorance goes away, automatically Swata Siddha, self-evident Brahman or knowledge of Brahman comes out. So we are not getting Vidya, we are removing superimposition, and Vidya, as it is always there, comes out. So a person has asked the age-old question. It is said, the glory of the self is seen by the grace of the divine, not by your effort. You do all your effort and then finally it happens by the grace. Can you throw some light on this? Other than the fact that there are some spelling mistakes in this question, I can throw the other light. That is, you see, this question itself has the answer. You do all your effort and then finally it happens by the grace. So the first part has to be done, is it not? Sri Ramakrishna says that the wind of grace is always flowing. We have to unfurl our sail. No, the boats, they have sails. So we have to unfurl it. We have to spread it. And then we will be able to take benefit of the wind. So wind of grace, divine grace is flowing. It is there constantly. But this unfurling of the sail we have to do. Like in the question, you do all your effort and finally it will happen by grace. But where is the effort? We live in the times of, we don't live in the times of instant coffee, instant tea. That is also past. Now we live in the time of everything happening just like that. You touch, it will happen. Not even instant. Touch screen, touch that, touch this. And we have become very touchy nowadays. One person, no one can hear even the slightest criticism. They're all very touchy. Touch me not. Only touch the mobile phone, not me. So are we in a position to do or put that required effort? That's the question. So the answer is, unfortunately, most of us are not. So we have to build that. We have to train our minds to understand that this is all unreal. There is another question. If world or ignorance or any relative knowledge in all the three states of experience means reality with name and form, how to remove name and form and see reality as it is? 1 minute, let me read it again. If world or ignorance or any relative knowledge in all three states of experience means reality with name and form. It does not mean reality with name and form. It means that you have wrongly seeing, you are wrongly seeing the reality. You are misreading the reality. Instead of rope, you are seeing snake. It is not that suddenly there was rope and then something goes and adds to it. No. Rope is not transformed. That is why Shankaracharya says that nothing, it is not nothing. Anumatrena api na sambadhyate. Even an iota is not connected to that which is superimposed. So the rope is totally unaffected. It is not that it is changing. If you say reality with name and form, it is as though there is a transformation in the reality. No, there is no transformation. You are just wrongly seeing the reality. how to remove name and form and see reality as it is. Remove avidya, reality as it is will be evident. Is there any question anybody has to ask? Please ask. For superimposition, the knower should have knowledge of the form. If the subject hasn't seen snake in his past experience, then it will not superimpose on rope. Then how will superimposition work here? So in Samskrita, what we say is Udaharana Ekadeshiya. An example has limitations. So you have to see that aspect which is tried to be clarified or illustrated by an example. So here, of course, unless one has seen a snake, one cannot impose it on rope. But again, that is just an example. As I earlier said, you might have gotten rid of the confusion of snake and rope. You may say, oh, I have gotten rid. Now I know that snake is not rope, rope is not snake, because there was that rubber snake which my niece threw at me. And so now I know that snake may not be, all snakes may not be snakes. Actually, live snakes and other snakes are like that. That is not the problem here. The problem here is, as Shankaracharya rightly points out, that whatever dealings we engage in, take for granted the existence of superimposition. So that superimposition we are talking about. And for that superimposition, we don't know when ignorance started. So here, how will superimposition work here means it is working all the time. The question might be reframed. The question might be like, when did superimposition start? Or how did superimposition start? Because when I see a rope, I should have already seen snake to superimpose snake on the rope, understood? So similarly, did I sometimes see unreality and then superimpose it on Brahman? No, it just started. When did it start? We don't know. And the point is, it is pointless to know. There is no point in knowing when this which is not there started. There is no point in knowing the beginning of a false knowledge. So let us try to find out that which is real instead of breaking our heads about that which is unreal. That is the answer. During Q&A, you will be able to unmute yourself and ask a question. You may unmute yourself and ask. That is what has been told to everybody. Okay, so people can unmute and ask questions. Request picture of specific pages of the book to be shared in the WhatsApp group to enable us refer during class. Prepare beforehand as well. I don't understand this question because we are now studying Adhyasa Bhashya, and if you are following what is happening in the class, then it will not take you even a second to go to that place. So putting the picture and telling this is the text and all becomes too holding hand, I think. So anyway, beforehand you can study. If you are following the book, then you will know what is being studied, and then you can use things like bookmark, etc., page mark, or you can even make a mark there using your pen or pencil. And we are all grown-up people, so I think we know these things. So we can do. Spoon feeding might not be a very good idea. Anyway, so then.
Swamiji, I have a question.
Yes.
Supposing I am doing my daily puja.
Please identify yourself.
Swamiji, like I am Satya Prakash. I am Satya Prakash.
Okay.
So
already you are halfway through. You are the light of the truth. Okay, tell me.
Swamiji, supposing I am doing my daily puja, so what is the avidya in that? I would like to know.
You said I am doing my daily puja. What avidya is not there? Mine, you have told. Then what avidya is not there? That is the avidya. I am doing my daily puja. My and mine. That is avidya. I and mine. Ahakara, mamakara. I am doing my daily puja.
Okay.
The problem is we are so embroiled in avidya that we don't see it existing.
So then how do I reframe that question, rephrase
No,
it?
no, it's not a problem. See. You got it wrong. It is not a problem of grammar or language. When Sri Ramakrishna was alive, when he was in the body, he used to say here, in Bengali, khane, here. So when people used to meet him, they also start imitating. They used to say, here, this does not happen. No, that does not work. Sri Ramakrishna was saying here because he had no body consciousness. He had no idea of I and mine. So do you have the idea of I being distinct from something else? Do you objectify things? Do you see an object other than you? If you do, that is avidya. So you don't need to reframe the question. The question was quite obvious and quite clear. The idea is, do you see yourself different from something else? Satya Prakash ji, do you see that?
Right now, no, Guruji.
Huh? No. Do you see yourself as different from something other than you? You don't see? No. Did you understand the question?
No, I not understood the question.
Yeah. What I'm saying is, suppose you are walking on the road. You see a building. Do you see yourself to be separate from the building?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is avidya.
Okay. Okay.
So the moment you see the other, something other than you, that is avidya. That can be an object, that can be a person, that can be anything. So just imagine the quantum of the problem here. Is there any other question?
Swamiji, myself is Nataraj Swamiji from Honali. So I have a question that while going through the Ramakrishna, this scriptures, Swamiji, while going through the scriptures, sometimes it is said that you follow the karma marga. In some other place, it is said that you follow bhakti yoga, or in some other place. So there is another kind of thing that you control the mind, or you do nitya karma and all those things. Which path we should follow in our daily life?
First, what is saying? Dharma marga.
First, so in the Kali Yuga, bhakti marga is the best. So somewhere when we read the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, somewhere, or by reading the Swami Vivekananda's books, somewhere it is said that you follow bhakti yoga. For Kali Yuga, bhakti yoga is the best. So in some places it is said you do karma yoga. So like that, Swamiji. So which marga is the best for us, Swamiji?
That Swami Vivekananda himself gives the answer. Each soul is potentially divine. The goal is to manifest this divinity within by controlling nature, external and internal. Do this either by work, worship, philosophy, or psychic control, by one or more or all of these. Simple. Now the problem here is not what you have to follow, but the problem is whether you have understood why you have to do these things. That is the question. As Swami Vivekananda says, the question of the philosopher is not what or how, but why. So why have you to practice bhakti marga or dhyana marga or karma marga, any marga? Why? If you can figure out why, then you will know how. So here Swamiji says each soul is potentially divine. The goal is to manifest this divinity within. So that divinity which is there within has to be manifested. Right now you think yourself as a puny creature. You think yourself as someone who is limited by one's body and mind and prana and intellect and Anandamaya Kosha. So if you have to attain the knowledge that you are infinite Atman, Brahman, then that means you have to manifest the divinity which is within you. Then you will have to practice these margas. And you can practice one or more or all. But here the problem is not what you have to practice. But as I said, the problem is why you have to practice. You have to first understand that. Why have you to practice this? Because you are not this body, you are not this mind, you are not the prana, you are not the intellect. You are beyond all these and you are Atman or Brahman. To understand that, you have to practice. So you have to take some marga and practice it. As Sri Ramakrishna says, if you dig a well in one place and keep on digging, you will find water. On the other hand, if you are digging in one place and you are digging in another place, you keep on digging, you will have so many pits, but no water. So, Ekanishta is also something. You need to focus on a particular thing you are doing. So if you want to, you just give some chance. It is not like you're going to a shopping mall and you're seeing all these things, whichever I like, I take. The goal is to manifest the spirituality within. And for that, suppose your temperament suits Karma Yoga, take Karma Yoga and give one lifetime for that. Then you will understand. That is how it works. Natarajji, was it of any help, this response?
Subject is sorry. It's quite helping so much. But still, I like to read. So my favorite thing is reading scriptures. I want to understand scriptures. So.
No, that is again coming to my point. Why do you want to understand scriptures? If somebody says, I want to use Google Maps, I will ask, why do you want to use Google Maps? Where do you want to go? If that person says, no, Swamiji, I have got leisure time, so I just want to see how Google Maps is telling about what places are there. That is waste of time. What do you want to understand reading the scriptures? So using Google Maps, do you have a destination? The point is, first we have to understand the problem, then we will get a solution. Just finding what are the solutions available for the problem we don't know is a problem. First, we have to realize that I am in Ajnana. That is why even Gita's first chapter is Arjuna Vishada Yoga. First, you have to realize that you are in confusion, only then clarity will come. So first is realizing that I am in Ajnana. First, I have to understand what is the problem. As in medical field, they say first you have diagnosis, then you have prognosis. So whether one has diagnosis, one has to ask oneself. Is there any other question? So yeah. So there are no questions, is it? It seems there are no questions. So we can call it a day. Okay. Okay, thank you very much. So we will meet again day after tomorrow and we can continue Brahma Sutras.
Pranams Maharaj.
Oh, okay. Namaste. Namaste.